Hey, how's it going? I just got a new computer. It's a Ryzen 7 7900 XT 3D, 32 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, 2 terabytes of an NVMe SSD, and the graphics card, well, we don't talk about the graphics card. I have a 3050. I know the computer is a little lopsided in the GPU department, but I'm getting a new one soon. So, in the meantime, I thought it would be fun to try and set fire to my 3050 with the power of... So, like, subscribe, and let's blow this baby up. In any game, the best way to crash the game is to load a whole bunch of entities. You've probably had that one friend that just blows up a bunch of TNT in Minecraft and crash your entire computer. That's what we're going to do, but in Ultrakill. But how can we do that in Ultrakill? Well, there are a lot of ways to load entities really fast, and I thought of a few different ways to do that. The first way is with oil. I'm not entirely sure how oil works in Ultrakill, but what I do know is that when you spray it on the ground and then light it on fire, each one of these little chutes or pillars of fire counts as its own entity. So if I fill up enough space, it should hopefully, fingers crossed, break my GPU and put me $200 in the hole. So let's start spraying this stuff down. Also, while I'm doing this, I noticed, like, for some reason, half of the oil that I'm spraying, probably not half, a lot of the oil that I'm spraying is just going underneath the map and clipping through the floor. I don't know why that's happening. Even you can kind of see it, like, when I spray here, some of the oil also clips through the floor. I don't know why that happens. Look, like 2 or 3 drops just get through every time. Strange. Anyways, back to it. So after about 30 minutes of spraying oil, this is what I have. When I look away from this, I have about 280 FPS, at least that's what I'm averaging. But when I look at the oil, I drop all the way down to 50 to 60 FPS, which is still playable, but we haven't even set this on fire yet. So I'm expecting a lot more cataclysm to occur. So as this is being torched, my friends are bouncing between 5 to 10 FPS, which is bad, but not as bad as I wanted. And honestly, for how long it took to get all that oil down, I was hoping for better results. I'm sure if I filled up more of the map with fire, it might crash the game or even my computer, but I don't want to waste my life spraying every surface here with oil. So let's move on to the next thing. Before we go on to the next thing, let's actually look at our graphs. Let's see how my computer handled that. Looking at this, what's weird is Ultrakill is not even using most of my graphics card, or really most of anything on my system. It's only using about 1/4 of my RAM, half of my RAM, half of my CPU, half of my GPU, but it's still running at around 10 FPS, which means that the fault actually lies on Ultrakill itself. Instead of Ultrakill being bottlenecked by my graphics and my system, it's being entirely bottlenecked by unoptimized code and stuff like that. What's funny is when I went to restart the level to clear the oil, that actually ended up crashing my game. Not sure why, but it did. Anyways, let's see if we can make this even worse with our next way of killing and doing and destroying my graphics card. So moving on to murder. There are 2 ways to kill an enemy in Ultrakill, a direct hit or with an explosion. When you kill an enemy with a direct hit, they just take damage and fall over. But with an explosion, they turn into a bunch of tiny fragments. So what we have to do is figure out which enemy turns into the most tiny fragments. This filth right here turns into about 5 little tiny thingies. But what I think would do the most is probably Cerberus. Because when he dies, not only does he split up into a bunch of things, he also drops these rock things. Normally they despawn pretty fast, but end up counting as like 12 different entities. So if we kill enough of these guys quickly enough before these rocks despawn, I think you're picking up what I'm putting down. This might do it. This might do the trick. This might just break my computer. So now that we have settled on using Cerberus as our genocide guy, we just gotta place a whole bunch of him down. So cue the time lapse. before we blow this up, just by looking at this mess of Cerberuses or Cerberi or whatever you want to call them, I guess the plural would just be Cerberus. Okay, that's besides the point. Just by looking at all of these stone people, I'm getting around 6 to 10 FPS, so blowing them up should hopefully obliterate my graphics card. With the oil, when we were looking at it, we were getting around 60 FPS, so this is a good sign. So, well, I guess let the chaos unfold. I also made one of them pretty big just because I thought it would be funny. Well, there we have it. Our first crash. Well, I guess second crash if you count the restart. Anyways, I'm going to give this a minute to see if it can recover, but I think we have succeeded. Well, slap my ass and call me Sally. It didn't crash. Well, it didn't fully crash. So let's blow up more of these guys. For some reason, after the crash, the FPS is staying pretty consistently and comfortably around 5 FPS. What's even weirder is this strange noise that I keep hearing in the background. I think what happened and caused the initial crash wasn't all of the entities loading at once, it was the sound file loading. See, normally in game, when you kill a Cerberus and another one is around, that Cerberus will get angry and then make this loud noise and turn red, like you see all these guys. What probably crashed the game was all of these Cerberuses making that noise at the exact same time, as opposed to the entities themselves crashing the game. If we go back to look at my computer usage, Ultrakill is still not using the full capabilities of my computer. Instead, it is spiking occasionally into the low 70s, but for the most part, it's staying around half of my graphics card usage and only like 14 gigabytes of RAM. But like I said before, this is probably just an optimization thing. So now that we know the best way to crash my computer is just by having a bunch of Cerberi get angry, can we crash the game completely vanilla in-game? To do this, I'm going to go into 7-3, and the final room is this room that spawns the single most entities in the game, and I'm going to be trying to do these techniques to crash the game. The hard part about that is the fact that I have cooldowns, so I'm not going to be able to have as much explosive power, and I can place almost no oil, but I'll see what I can do. So I've cleared this whole level and I turned up my graphics settings to the max and have been constantly trying to spray oil pretty much everywhere and do as many explosions as possible. But my FPS hasn't even dropped below 250. I think that this just goes to show that even though Ultrakill doesn't use the full capacity of my computer and honestly isn't really optimized for a lot of killing, it doesn't need to be. In a vanilla game, you're never going to encounter a situation where the game is going to lag because you're killing too many things or have too much oil on the ground, unless you're literally running the game on a Raspberry Pi. The only scenario where I could possibly see there being a performance bump because of the lack of optimization is if you're playing the game modded and doing giant wave clears, or if you make it in wave 2000 of the cyber grind. But that's a topic for a whole different video. Anyways, I hope that you've enjoyed. Please consider subscribing for more Ultrakill content. And yeah, I love each and every one of you dearly. Have a good day.